All right, it's 6:35. We'll call the Building and Grounds Committee meeting to order. We have two items on the agenda. First one is to review City Hall roof bids. Nolan?
Okay, we received all the roof bids today at 2 o'clock, and you have a copy of those in front of you. The winning bidder was Mr. Cripps Roofing. He was the only bidder. So I recommend that we go with Cripps Roofing, and he is here to answer any questions that we might have. I think he did have some suggestions for something a little bit different than what we had spec'd out. So any questions?
Can you leave the hole over Libby Rutledge's office?
Sure, yeah.
So I couldn't help but over here, Everett say, you were lucky to have the one bid. I will say that quite frankly, I think I know all of you, and Nolan, we worked with the water department when we done that. And when people are easy to work with, it makes a difference. I know Stacy and Steve will agree with that. So Nolan and Ricky were very good to work with on the water department. And this is not an easy job, so it's not something that people are, what you say, knocking the door down to get to. But on the I did have just a couple of recommendations down there. This thing has 3.5 inches of roofing on it. It's got the original roof under there for when it was built, the tar and gravel. But when this thing was built, there was no codes per se for insulation value. And so really the R value on the roof itself is a minimum, maybe 10, 15 at the most. The codes are a little different now, and that they were, I can't say that they require it because each county adopts its own codes to some extent. But it's recommended, like if you're in Murfreesboro and Asheville or wherever, it's an R30. Well, to get an R30 on the roof requires like 5 inches of this ISO board, 5.2 to be exact. So that's down at the bottom. You see that addition that's in there, but that's not what you've got now. So if you wanted to go with what you got now, then the bid as fact is pretty much what you have up there. If you wanted to put a higher R value on it, your options are either to insulate above the tile, the drop down ceiling, or put it on the roof. So
Do we have any of that already?
Within the
In the
drop
ceiling?
no,
Y'all look.
Yeah.
So there's none.
you don't have anything.
And we got about a 10 to 15 right now. I mean, here's what we'll have. if we don't-
Max, you've got a max on R15, which is what this the 2.6 that I put in there is essentially what you've got now. So it actually may be a little bit better because what you've got now is wet. So when it's wet, it doesn't have hardly any on there. So
Is the decking okay?
I think the decking is, unlike the water department. This obviously maybe will attach to the water features, but I think it's nothing. Looking at it, obviously, when you tear the roof off, it's probably going to be a little bit of rust, but it's nothing like what we've dealt with over there. So I think overall the decking is going to be, I would expect it to be good. So.
The other question I had is, when would you start this?
Well, that's when we found out, of course, we didn't know until 2 o'clock that, it looked like it might work out. So I called the supplier. He says 2 months before. And the thing is, like with this insulation, and Stacy, I mean, I know some of you know, but there's roughly, if you do the double insulation, there's roughly 600 sheets up there. So, but in order to get that price, I actually have to go and get it now, even though we can't get the screws and plates and stuff for another 2 months. So in answer to your question, about 2 months. You know,
I wonder what the R30 gets us in the way of savings.
Yeah, that's what I always look at. Do we have any way of knowing when we recoup that money? How long? I mean,
Well, just as a matter of building science, the airspace between the drop ceiling and the roof deck has a R value as well. So it's, R value is not all there. That's one of the reasons these types of buildings were built. One of the things that we will get, I assume that this TPO will be white instead of the black that's up there. So you're going to have less heat transfer because of the nature of the membrane is going to be white. It's going to be reflective instead of grabbing and absorbing it. And it's, you're going to get some of that. So looking at the R value, and I don't mean to step on you, but I know, I know, but that, you do have an R value associated with that dead space
in
between,
airspace.
between the two. So your effective R is going to be greater with the 2.6. It's going to be greater than what you've got right now, especially with poly iso. What is that material now? Is it EPS?
yeah.
It's EPS.
Yeah.
It's up there now. Yeah, a lot
It's
better.
EPS and it's the old blackboard.
Oh, so fibrous.
It's rotted away.
Right.
But he's right in the fact that as it is bid, your R value is more than what you've got right now.
And with the TPO being white instead of black, you're going to get some reflective nature instead of the absorption of the heat from the sun.
I kind of put that in there because if you bid jobs out, if I go to Wilson County or Rutherford County or Davidson County, that's just going to be a code for them. It varies a little bit. Georgia, it's an R25. So, and you, again, my job is to present y'all with the options to discuss. But hey, I'm up to do whatever y'all want to do. The chimney, I'm sorry.
I think it would be a good idea to do it, but
Well, I will tell you, that's a better price than I intended it, not to say that, but when I called the guy, he said, well, what'd you base this price on? I said, the stuff I got 2 weeks ago. He said, it's changed. He said, oh, well, we're gonna look at it in the morning to see, but I mean, it's, but I'll stick with that, but it may absorb some of my labor, but anyway, this stuff is changing faster than we can keep up. So the other thing in there was the chimney. Basically any, and of course, I don't know, it probably won't be Ricky, but one of us, Owen or whoever, any penetration that's going through the roof, and there's a lot of them that aren't being used, needs to come out. So that's the short of it. So, and the chimneys one, most of them come out pretty easily because they're just a piece of pipe or a gas pipe or something like that. But the chimney obviously is a little bit more.
Was that from a boiler or something that we had down there? A coal furnace?
Boiler.
Boiler.
Was a boiler in the basement.
Yeah, just until recently.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I would make a motion that we accept his bid, and I agree with Everett. I think that we should get all the R value that we can and get that chimney removed. Also, that would be my motion.
Any discussion? The only question I would have is how much savings we get.
Well, I'll tell you what I told Joe Harold Pugh down at Security Federal. I forget what their electric bill, because we did a roof down there several years ago. And this is before this code even came up. And I told him after we got into it, he told me what his electric bill was running. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll come in here and insulate this place you pay the electric bill that you're paying now for the next 5 years. And I said, you won't pay me a dime. So that's how I think this will pay for itself. It may take 5 or 6 years or something like that, but I guarantee you that it's gonna pay for itself.
Just a 20-year roof.
But I understand your point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if we got a R15 already, plus whatever we get in the dead airspace in between now, between the roof and the ceiling. I mean, I don't know what that dead airspace gives you, but I just wonder,
Yeah.
you know, what the savings is.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what
It's
dead airspace is, you're still gonna
the
save.
the only way that you're gonna know is to actually do it and then watch it, you know, I don't know who keeps up with the electric bill around here, but you know, that's about the only way to really actually see what your cost is or what your savings is over a period of a year.
My assumption is you'd probably see more on the cooling side, you know, being as the fact it's a multi-floor building, that whoever's here or on the third floor, we're on the second, right? Whoever's on the third floor is gonna feel it in the cooling season. Heat's not really gonna be that big a deal, but I think cooling will make a big difference up there. The third floor personally.
And Nolan and I have already, this probably doesn't affect you guys, but we've talked about, you know, as far as getting the roof off, talking to the postmaster general, because, you know, obviously this roof overlooks his parking lot down there. We can't be tearing off a roof when, not at least why it's not close to that edge, you know, while he's there. But we'll coordinate all that, and get all that set up.
Does adding this ISO board make the lead time longer?
No, they've actually, the board, the supplier, I talked to him this afternoon. He actually got 2 truckloads of it in. This is actually a truck and a half. That's what this is. That will go back up here if we do the R30. So that part is pretty much there. It's the screws and plates and some of the other accessories. This thing actually, there's a tapered insulation around the outside edge of perimeter of this thing that actually is going to make it a little thicker than 5, which will make it actually 6.2 on the outside edge, but that doesn't really concern y'all. But in answer to your question, Chuck, no.
So just make sure we're clear, the recommendation is to accept the bid with the additional installation and removing the chimney.
I
Which is
think it's
gonna
the time to do
put
it. It's
us-
the time to do it.
Just shy of $145,000. Is that right?
And this would be a recommendation of the board.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item is discussions on the potential lease with the Paysetters building.
Yeah, so I met with the potential lessee and asked them the questions that we talked about last time. They said that a 30 to 60 day notice of termination of the lease or month to month was acceptable. They didn't care. They said that there were almost always, they have 5 trucks. Usually those are out all day, but there will be 2 trailers on the site every day. So in the morning, these trucks with the trailers will head out, 5 of them, come back at the end of the day. Repair work can or cannot be done on site. It doesn't matter to them. And the rent that they proposed was $600 to $800 a month.
They pay utilities.
Utilities would be in their name. Now, I do think that,
You can't rent a 1-bedroom apartment for $600 to $800 a month right now. You can't get a 14,000 square foot building for that. That's
I think it's a little low, but
to,
Were they interested in bargaining?
yes. So They said,
If you doubled it, it's still.
Maybe 6,000 might be worth considering, but 600 to 800 is not even, it doesn't even trip any triggers.
what is it, $1 a square foot?
Well,
for-
that's the market rent. That's the market rent right now, $1 a square foot. And at that building at $14,600, or $600 to $800 doesn't really come close. So
So that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't really ask many other questions than that, so.
Can you name them or they rather not be named?
Oh, I didn't really, I probably shouldn't. I didn't ask them if I could.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
They're already here operating. They have it's too small for them where they're at now.
They're just
So-
looking for a satellite facility.
I think they're looking to move from where they're at to this other place or somewhere else.
I can't imagine that they would be okay with a 30 or 60-day termination.
well, at $600 a month, Mr. Brock, they'd be happy with, 7 days. If they can get it for 3 years at $600, I mean, come on.
Possibly. So I'm not sure where they can take that 600 and get a place in 30 days, 60 days.
So I
And-
guess the question is, do we even want to counter their offer?
Personally, I don't think there's no upside for us at all. I'll make a motion that we reject that in the committee, that we reject their proposal to lease.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Anything else to come before the Building and Grounds Committee? This meeting's adjourned.
Well, it's 6:50, so we will call this meeting of the Water and Sewer Committee to order. Tonight, we're here to discuss what I tabled last time about the water plant upgrade contract from James C. Haley. Nathaniel Green will address us at this time, please. Ricky Morton is under the weather right now, so we've got to offer a little prayer for Ricky that he gets to feeling better. Well, I wanted to say, just to clarify, the reason that I tabled this last time and get it on the record is that there was a disparity between the language in the addendum to the contract and what Ricky's understanding was at that time. We clarified that today in a meeting that you and I had, just to clarify the terms of the contract. Ricky's understanding that the mechanism of funding will prohibit us from doing our own inspections. And my objection to signing the contract at that time was that the addendum said clearly that that once we signed the contract, that entitled James C. Haley to $300,000 in inspection fees, and based upon the information I had from Ricky, they contradicted each other. So now I understand that, and I have no objection to entering into this agreement with them at this time. I think we would have done it last time had I not had that contradictory information. And I just want to say that's why he's here today instead of us getting it done last time. I do understand that now. And so please take it away.
Okay, so we have an agreement. This goes back to, I think, October the 12th was the first Water and Sewer Committee meeting that we had on the subject of getting us going on the water plant upgrades. I had provided an agreement that's been reviewed. There were a couple of things that we added to the agreement. One of those things was we wanted to be sure from both the city's perspective and our perspective that the engineering fees were spelled out. That's the reason we used the form Amendment K or Addendum K, or Exhibit K, which is an amendment to the agreement. It becomes Amendment number 1. And basically that spells out what the pay is and when it comes due. And it helps you to understand that 62-page document that is the boilerplate engineering agreement that the Engineers Joint Council basically creates for us to use, and boils it down to one sheet. So you know what is on there. And as far as inspection fees go, if we get to the point to where we bid the project and for some reason the city doesn't do it, they opt to do something else instead, those inspection fees are not paid to anybody because they were never incurred. So all that's there. There's even a page that tells you what our inspector what we charge for the inspector. All those items are there. What we charge for mileage, everything is in the agreement. And the only thing that gets spelled out in Exhibit K is so that you know what those numbers are. Any other questions?
I think we're good. Well, I'll entertain a motion to recommend to the board that we accept James C. Haley and Company's engineering proposal for the water treatment plant upgrade.
So
We have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you very much. We don't have any further business for the Water and Sewer Committee at this time, so this meeting is adjourned.
Agenda is consideration of minutes. Each member of the board should have received those in their agenda packet. If there be no requests for additions, corrections, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with those as read. A motion by Mr. Everett Brock. Second by Mr. Stacy Harvey. All in favor of approving? Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is recognition of visitors. If any member of the board audience wishes to address the board, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, recognition of employees. If any department head or member of the board wishes to give recognition to any city employee, time is now.
I have one thing.
Yes, Mr. Main.
I would like to recognize Ricky Morton, Heath Collins, and the entire water maintenance staff who last week, Ricky and Heath encouraged the staff to wait till it was done raining to get out and fix the broken water line. His staff said, that's not what we're about. They got out there and got the work done in the pouring cold rain. And I think they should be recognized for that. So thank you all.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Main. Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, communications. There were 2 things that came in after the agenda packets went out. One was a letter from Patricia Bassham, who is the executive director of the McMinnville Housing Authority, and asked the board to consider reappointing Barry King back to the Housing Authority Board. He has served a number of years in this capacity, has a wealth of knowledge regarding the Housing Authority. And again, she asked for his reappointment back to the Housing Authority Board. So I would entertain a motion to approve that request by that board, if that's the wishes of the board.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Kirby. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. The next letter was from Holly McBride at the McMinnville Special Games. She has been in communication with Justin Scott about using the Milner Center for the Special Olympic Games this year here in McMinnville. It looks like that will be on May the 2nd, and she is asking for us to waive the fees for that. Again, like the last meeting we discussed, we have typically done this for nonprofit organizations in the past, and I would ask the board to approve this letter if there's no issue with Mr. Scott. All right.
So
Have a motion by Miss Sally Brock,
I'll second it.
second by Miss Kirby. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item 6 is petitions. There are none. Item 7 is unfinished business. There is none listed. Does any member of the board have any unfinished businesses?
If I could, I just want to make a comment or maybe a question about Post Road from our last meeting. I guess I should have. I didn't quite realize that was completely a committee decision, and that was that. But it seems like the biggest complaint or problem that we have is people coming off of West Main onto Post Road. That seemed to be people are going fast, I guess, both directions, but that seemed to be the main thing. Well, in my mind, we haven't done one thing to slow that down or prevent that at all. We put up 4 stop signs, which have no effect on anybody coming off of Main Street on the Post Road. And that seemed to be the main problem or the biggest problem. It seems to me like the only options you have is of slowing people down or helping the pedestrians up down through there or a sidewalk or lowering the speed limit. Because what we've done so far, to me, unless somebody thinks differently, the 3-way stops at each of those other 2 spots don't slow anybody down coming off of West Main Street.
I've never been a huge fan of them, but what about speed bumps?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them either.
Well,
It's a state road.
Well, that's true.
I was thinking
Oh,
one thing that might work, and we'd have to look at the physical space there, but I do understand what you're saying, is that if there was a concrete island, you know, how West Main merges merges onto Clark and then onto Post right there. That's kind of it's a wide open area and there's really no defined lanes of travel right there. If we narrowed that defined lane of travel for exit off of West Main onto Post by using, if the physical space allows, by using a concrete island, which I've seen in other cities that force people to slow down because they don't want to hit a curb. You know, and it's just basically a slope curb with an elevated 6 or 8 inch concrete area right there that force people to slow down, bottlenecks them into a single lane, and then they go through. I've seen that applied in different circumstances. And if there's enough physical space there for that, that might be an option for that West Main merge traffic.
To dovetail on that, one of the proposals that was going along Birchville Highway here coming into Main Street was, instead of having a yielding lane, to take the yielding lane out, and literally they'd have to come and turn right. You know, we could do something like that, and we could say, you know, no traffic from Main Street turns up Post Road too. So you'd have to turn down Clark or go down another. I mean, a number of neighbors have actually said, can you just close the street on that side of DC Tires? I think that's a little bit extreme, but
You can make it one way.
you could turn right from Clark up Post Road, but you'd have to go a different direction because you couldn't go straight up.
And then the other side of this, I mean, we did a traffic study, right? We asked for these traffic studies, and if I remember right, tell me if I'm wrong, but the traffic study showed that we didn't have much more of a speeding problem there than anywhere else. Is that right, or is that not right? So, I mean, we asked for these traffic studies, and then we don't really, then we go ahead and take measures anyway that really don't support what the traffic study said. I mean, we're putting up stop signs at a whim. We put up stop signs people didn't even ask for. I mean, they only asked for one at Sunset Drive, and then we came down to put 2 more down there at where Garfield comes out. So, I mean, it just seems like we're not, you know, are we qualified to make decisions on traffic? Things like that. I don't
I've
know.
gotten
It just
a lot
seemed,
of
it seemed awfully
positive
quick and not a lot of thought put into it.
I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from all the neighbors up
I
and
don't,
down
I don't
Post Road.
argue with that.
So I think that was one of the suggestions to begin with, was the one at Sunset and Post. But I agree with you that that intersection is a problem intersection in general, regardless of where you want to post. There's just lots of traffic going in to that whole area.
I get that intersection, but I did get a gripe from somebody up on Post Road that would put those other stop signs.
Oh, I got a gripe from somebody on Garfield.
Well, we also had a letter that was written to all of us from Steve Morgan that
That was the person who contacted me.
pretty well written. I mean, I thought.
A speed bump right there would, as much as I hate, I would fix that right there where
Or
everybody
I mean-
everybody goes, escalates right there.
you can lower this, I mean, there are other streets in town that have 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, right? It's not, I mean, it wouldn't be a first. I don't know, I can't name them, but I know there are some.
Yeah, there's a whole list in our municipal code.
I just, you know, it's like we asked for the traffic study and then,
Disregarded.
yeah, it was like we didn't even pay attention to it. I mean,
Well, it was said that 85% of the people were going less than 35 miles an hour. 35 miles an hour is still speeding. And over 50% were going over 30 miles an hour. So there is a speeding issue there. It's just not extreme. And there were people
But if
going up
it's-
to 50 miles an hour.
if it's no worse than any other street, then
But there's no sidewalks for people.
Well,
I
just
guess
for
my
the-
question
just
is,
for the
why do we
record
ask
that-
for the speed for the study if we're not gonna, you know, if it's no worse than anywhere else?
I've cured the 50-mile-an-hour speeder because I told my wife that she was caught. And saw
I think
pictures of
what the
car.
speeding study tells me that do we need a more saturation in that area? And it's, you know,
Yes,
but I mean,
absolutely.
but are we gonna give tickets for going 33 miles an hour? So, I mean, I think the study does help us decide and help chief and the department decide where are they gonna be located and where are they gonna pay attention. We're trying to change people's behavior. I certainly, when I come up Post Road, I know there's a stop sign now. I slow down. I'm not going as fast as I used to.
You don't even see that stop sign until you get far past where Scott McCord lives. That's who brought all this up. I mean, you don't even see it. So, I mean, it's not gonna slow you down coming off of West Main. I'm sorry.
But I do think that you bring up a point, and I remember seeing a long time ago to Chief Mosley's predecessor, Brian Denton. Now, this was actually written in the paper, and when I was kind of amazed that it was, but if I remember correctly, I believe Brian stated that he was going to give everybody a 7 mile, he had a 7 mile an hour grace with the speed limits. That's what sticks in my mind. May have been 9, but I remember 7. Do you remember that? And I just thought that was incredibly candid to have a member of law enforcement say, you know, we're gonna stick to our guns here, but we're gonna give you 7. So if we've got a speed limit of 25, what's the speed limit there? Did we decide it was 35?
It's 30.
It's 30. So if we've got a 30 mile an hour speed limit, our previous police chief said that he was going to give everybody 37, and we, to this day, we haven't really contradicted that at all. So maybe, you know, 37 is the.
I think
is
this
the
certainly
local speed
warrants
limit.
further discussion. I'm glad you bring it up, and I would recommend that we establish a safety committee meeting before the next meeting and welcome the whole board to come and develop their input and get some more input from the neighborhood as well as other citizens.
If we put up the signs yet,
Oh, yeah, they're
Yes.
up.
there's a way to slow people coming off of West Main. I don't know, flashing light or speed bump, whatever.
Well, if we just don't pave that there, eventually it's going to take care of itself. It's pretty close to that right now.
All right, any other unfinished business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, new business. Item 8A is discuss the consideration on separation of the position of city recorder and city treasurer. This has been discussed in at least one board meeting. There was a committee meeting this past Friday where it was discussed among the committee members, and they recommended and voted unanimously to pass it back to the full board for further discussion. Having said that, it is my understanding that Ms. Durham would like to address the board on this matter.
I have been consulted by members of the Finance and Administration Committee and the mayor with regard to sharing some of my duties that I have performed since 1988. In their discussions, consideration has been given to transition of duties and succession of offices between the recorder and treasurer. I understand the importance of planning for succession, having served these positions for 33 years. I am prepared to resign my position as treasurer as defined in Chapter 3, Section 1-309 of the Magneto Municipal Code, while retaining my position as recorder without reduction in compensation and benefits. I will devote the time relieved from the duties as treasurer to assist, support, and train the new treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Yeah. And considering that Ms. Durham does report to the board / the finance committee because she serves as both the treasurer and the city's recorder, the board does have to vote to accept her resignation as the treasurer. So having said that, I would entertain a motion to approve this letter. Have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Discussion. Comments. Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Okay. David Brock.
Aye.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Zach Sutton,
Yes.
and Jess Dunn.
Aye, motion passes. There are still some fine details to work out in this regard, but in the meantime, I would also ask the board to consider appointing Samantha Moore as the interim treasurer until such time as one is hired full-time. Also, I would like to pass this discussion back to the finance committee to discuss both the existing job descriptions that are laid out within the city's code for both the treasurer and the recorder, the new job descriptions that have been laid out by Ms. Rutledge in Human Resources, as well as the reporting structure and the organizational structure of the department. So, Mr. Brock, I would ask, if possible, if we could have that at the very next, before the next meeting. That
Yeah,
way,
if we're gonna separate them, we need defined responsibilities for both of those positions. And also, we need to go on a search for some, which I would assume we would end up doing in the finance committee. I would probably want to co-opt HR to do some of the labor. Yeah. No, there's no problem with the finance.
any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, resolutions. Item 9A is resolution number 2155, a resolution of the city of McMinnville to enter into a contract with GovEase Auction LLC for professional services for online auction portals as described in Exhibit A, scope of services, and Exhibit B, fees and billing, attached hereto and incorporated by reference with all boundaries and descriptions as shown, to authorize the mayor to sign this contract on behalf of the city and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Was that you, Stacy?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey, second by Miss Sally Brock. Mr. Purtle,
This is a contract with a third-party vendor who actually conducts online sales as opposed to live attendance sales. The county actually used it in their last delinquent tax sale. According to the Parking Master Mara, who oversees all delinquent tax collections, the process went very smoothly, and they actually sold every delinquent track that was offered for sale. So given their experience and the fact that the cost of this is really borne by the delinquent taxpayer, it's assessed at a contract rate of $375 per track, added on to the accrued taxes, interest, penalties, attorney's fees, and costs. So it's carries its own weight. If it's a no sale, it's a no fee. So we don't get loaded up with $350 charges and $375 charges on properties that don't get any bids. With your approval, this contract needs to be signed post haste and forwarded back to the company because she plans to advertise notice of sale to be conducted on March 1st. And we have roughly $63,000 in gross delinquent taxes in these two existing suits. By the time we get to the sale, we'll probably be down to half that number or less. You may have any questions? Mr. Ming and I discussed some tracks that go through sales every year because nobody bids them, and the burnouts or the rundown or meth quarantine. We're going to compare notes with them and identify some of those properties for your consideration on bidding those properties in to do something about it.
any further questions or discussions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Stacy Harvey.
Aye.
Sally Brock.
Yes.
David Brock.
Aye.
Steve Harvey.
Yes.
Rachel Kirby.
Yes.
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
Mayor Justin.
Motion passes. Item 9B is resolution number 2156, a resolution of the city of McMinnville, Tennessee to accept the bid from Volunteer Highway Supply Company for completion of all paving, stripping needed throughout the city of McMinnville in an amount not to exceed $10,000 as described in Exhibit A and attached hereto and incorporated by reference, and to express time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve? A motion by Ms. Sally Brock,
Second.
second by Mr. Stacy Harvey. Discussion on the matter.
Just gonna get everything going. Pretty much.
Yes, I believe so. I think it might get everything and also get into some stuff that just needs to be brightened up. So I believe so.
What's the information from the county highway department on here?
That's the bid that we piggybacked onto.
Oh, okay. So it's just all, they're doing both jobs at the same time, I guess.
This will pay for all 10 mile stretch. Double lane and this double center lanes. It'll do most of the, I guess, the main streets. Something I'd like to continue on with next year too, doing a little more of it. But it won't do all the side streets. Most of them that we have paid for the last 45 years. It's more or less about 10 miles. Strike. So it's 10,000.
There's a lot of old streets that are faded out.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'd like to keep continuing this every year.
Pretty inexpensive per mile.
Yeah.
$1,000 a mile.
Any further discussion or questions on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Aye.
Everett Brock.
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Jack Sutton.
Aye.
And Chester.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9C is resolution number 2157, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville to accept the statewide contract number 209-72308 bid from Dodge of Columbia for 2022 Dodge 1500 SLT quad cab in a total amount of $28,823.25 for the city of McMinnville Animal Control Department. To authorize the city administrator of the city to issue the necessary purchase order on behalf of the city and express the time when this resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve? A motion by Mr. Everett Brock, second by Mr. Steve Harvey. Questions or discussion?
Only that this has been needed for a long
Just in general, we have a lot of resolutions that are budget related. All of these are line items in the budget, current budget.
I believe
As
so.
far as I know. I know that these two here are.
What we did out, the animal control trip was 25,000.
Yeah, it's 3,000.
3,000 something over. I will try to stay under budget. But I'm asking for y'all to, I might have to amend the budget or whatever and ask for a little bit more money. If I do go over, but I'm hoping not to. I'm gonna try my best to stay under. We've already got a box for the truck, what we bought last year. So it'll be, we just ain't never put it on the truck because we've used the old one. But I will try my best to pull that out and stay under the budget. Animal control's got a smaller budget. It's kind of harder to
He
do.
needs that truck.
If you could find that extra 3,000 somewhere in your budget, fine. We have to amend, but it's not.
Okay.
I hate to
Very
amend the
much.
budget for $3,000.
Yeah. That's what I said. I'm gonna try my best to find it somewhere else in there. Like I said, he's got a small budget anyway, so yeah, we'll try to.
Well, even if it comes out of something else.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Kevin Brock.
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey.
Aye.
Rachel Kirby.
Yes.
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
And Jeff Stein.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9D is resolution number 2158, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville to accept the statewide contract number 209-72320 from Ford of Murfreesboro for 2 service trucks, F-250 regular cab 4x4s and F-350 crew cab 4x4, and the total amount of $100,987 for the city of McMinnville Water Department to authorize the city administrator to issue the necessary purchase order on behalf of the city and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey,
Second.
second by Ms. Sally Brock. Discussion on the matter.
In Ricky's absence, I'll just go over again. He told us last time that replacing these 2 trucks will get modernize his fleet to where the oldest vehicle they have in their fleet, I believe, is a 2015. We're replacing a 99 model one and a 2008 model other. So anyway, I think it's money well spent. They deserve it over there. They've got the cash to do it in their budget. So it's no new money. It's something we counted on.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Any further discussion? And then we'll call for the vote.
Stacy Harvey,
Aye.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Everett Brock.
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
And Jeff Stein.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9E is resolution number 2159, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville to accept the Sourcewell contract PS 20045-MPA-1910 FF from Afico for an Eagle Air Systems Black Hawk compressor in the amount of $59,525.25 for the city of McMinnville Fire Department to authorize the city administrator of the city to issue the necessary purchase order on behalf of the city and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Zach Sutton,
Second.
second by Mr. Everett Brock.
Just to recap on this, we did have this as a line item in the budget. This is certainly more expensive than the line item, but Chief is going to be able to find the difference in his budget. The compressor that's been down there at the fire department is over 35 years old and is in irreparable condition. They have been going out to Collins River Volunteer Fire Department during fires to refill. So if they're on the other side of the city, that adds time to doing that. And they have not been able to train with air because of this situation. So
How much did we put? 40 or something?
I think it was
45.
45. But he thinks he can find.
From the turnout.
Oh, that's right. He was talking about that last week. He was going to split his turnout gear over 2 years.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
Everett Brock,
All right.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby. Yes. And Jeff Stein.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9F is resolution number 2160, a resolution to authorize the city of McMinnville to accept statewide contract number 202 from Truckers Lighthouse, Inc. for the purchase and installation of emergency equipment on 3 new police vehicles in the total amount of $22,145.40 for the city of McMinnville Police Department to authorize the city administrator to issue the necessary purchase order on behalf of the city and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Sally Brock,
Second.
second by Mr. Stacy Harvey. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Aye.
Everett Brock,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby. Yes. Zach Sutton.
Aye.
And Jeff Stein.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9G is resolution number 2161, a resolution of the city of McMinnville to enter into a contract with Investment Partners LLC and South High Partners for the purchase and sale agreement of the property as described in Exhibit A and Exhibit B attached hereto and incorporated by reference with all boundaries and descriptions as shown, to authorize the mayor to sign the contract on behalf of the city and to express the time when this resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Everett Brock. Second by Mr. Steve Harvey. Mr. Bayard.
So one thing I wanted to make mention of is that when you read out that agenda item, it makes it sound like we're at the final stages of negotiation of this. And while this is a major step, there are some pretty important contingencies that are still yet to be negotiated. The most important of which is the tax increment financing. That's the portion that we retained, the Reno and Kavanaugh, the expert outside counsel to work with us on. So while the general framework has been completed, two of the key areas that we've yet to complete, and I just want to read it for you for everyone's understanding. And it's in number 14, a portion of the contract. And I'll just read it out. It says, buyer's obligation to consummate the purchase of the property on the closing date shall be subject to the satisfaction or performance of the following terms and condition. Should the buyer so request, the property shall have been removed from the historical zoning district. An economic impact plan and tax increment financing plan satisfactory to the buyer shall have received final approval from the applicable authorities, including the city of McMinnville, Warren County, the McMinnville Warren County Industrial Development Board, and the city of McMinnville shall have approved a site plan for the buyer's project, and buyer shall have obtained all site, land disturbance, and building permits. So that's a key, those things that I read out are key contingencies in this. So I just want everyone to know that and understand that before the vote's taken.
One of the things that I was talking David about this week or last week, excuse me, was the getting it out of the historic zoning. And that's not really going to be up to the historic zoning group. It's going to be up to this board to retract the boundaries of the historic zoning group. So this board can move those boundaries out in whatever it wants to do. So it wouldn't be the historic zoning group that sets it on boundaries.
That's absolutely correct, Mr. Brock. And at a future meeting, we will be bringing an ordinance that would retract this portion or this parcel of property from the historic zoning district. Just for everyone's knowledge, the original historic zoning district did not have this property within its designation. There was actually a city ordinance that was passed to add it. So we will essentially be retracting that previous ordinance to then remove it. So in a future meeting, maybe the next meeting or a couple meetings from now, that would be something that I would be bringing towards you. But I think one of the next key steps is the economic impact plan and of course the tax increment financing plan that we would negotiate.
Where are we with those right now?
Oh, we wanted to get this as the first step.
Okay.
And so after this is approved, we're going to start work on that.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Everett Brock,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey.
Aye.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Rachel Kirby,
I would abstain from voting.
Zach Sutton.
Aye.
Bill Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10 is ordinances. There are none. Item 11 is departmental reports. We have several department heads here this evening. If anyone wishes to address the board, please approach the podium. Chair recognizes Chief Kendall Mayfield.
I want to thank y'all for getting my air compressor, and I'm gonna show you what y'all thought.
welcome, by the way.
Is this thing in stock?
At least 3 months. And no less than 5. So they think they can use them around 3 months.
A little bit smaller than your existing unit too.
Yes, it is. It will be, but I think it will work out real good when we finally get it. Last another 30 years, I hope.
I think it feels good to take.
If we got the adapter to do it. Yeah. We could do it with that one we got, but we got the adapter to do it with.
So
All right,
Chief,
thank y'all.
correct me if I'm wrong, but this door on the right-hand side, that opens up and they can drop 2 cylinders in there and
Yes.
shut it and lock it. So when they're filling up, if something goes bad and it goes haywire,
yes.
it's contained in that.
It contained in that, yes.
It's a great
So
new
you do
feature.
2 bottles at a time.
Yeah, you can do 2 bottles.
How long does it take to do them?
Well, you have to fill them slow because if you fill them fast, it will heat up
Right.
the bottle, and then when it cool down, like, you have to redo it, but when you try to do it slow, that way we don't have to go back, but 2 minutes, maybe, something like that. I mean, but it holds 6,000 pounds in them big bottles. So we got 4 of them, so you can chop, fill them, and then open the other one. And like I say, you can fill up to 16, 18 bottles before you cut the machine back on. And it probably take 20 minutes to fill they all back up. So it's come in handy.
But one thing about Kendall.
Yeah.
Shows that those bottles back there are shaded. Does that mean they don't come with it?
No, that's on with.
They do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It just looks like it's an option.
No, they keep them in the back of it. Yeah, all that comes together.
Okay.
Chair recognizes Justin Scott.
Good evening. Just want to give a quick update on the Milner Center. Soccer registrations are ongoing right now. Probably been going on for about 2 weeks. We've got 110 kids registered for soccer as of today. Our youth baseball and softball registration started about a week ago. We're at 48 registrations on that. It still has a while to go, so that's looking good. We're really busy with classes, basketball practices and games, racquetball, tennis, pickleball. The wellness center and the functional fitness area is being utilized a lot. Just to give you an idea, last night alone, we had around 175 customers, paid and passes, that came through our facility. That doesn't include what we had with basketball practices. Those folks are just coming in. They've already registered and paid their fees, so they're just coming in to practice. In a 4-hour time slot, we had around 160 players that come through from 4 to 8 p.m. So we're really busy over there at night. Park Theater update, and speaking with Kevin, the VIP season passes were well received for the first year. There were 40 passes sold on that. And then this Friday, the Kentucky Headhunters concert, there's over 275 tickets sold thus far, and the expected attendance is around 350. So, yeah.
How do we do on that, Pastor?
The songwriter night. Yeah. So I believe there was around 75 in attendance on that. So a little disappointing, but yeah.
What about there was a country singer right before that.
The T. Graham Brown that
Yeah,
got
T. Graham
rescheduled.
Brown.
Yeah. I didn't pull the numbers from that one. But that was due in part of rescheduling that concert and yeah, I didn't pull those numbers on that, what those would have been or were. So, yeah. But overall, we're excited about this Friday. So, yes, right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
And their classes are, I went to several of the classes. They're 7 days a week now.
Yes.
And there's a calendar that says when and where and what the class does.
Mhm.
And they're doing well. There are a lot of people.
Are you selling season tickets now? For gym? I know we do them for the pool, but is there such a thing as that?
It's like,
For the fitness
Yeah.
center, we have our monthly, 6-month and yearly passes.
Are you selling any of those?
Yeah, those are going good. I mean, we do the individual and the family. Not exactly sure. I mean, I know our numbers have gone up since the first of the year. And as I said last board meeting, February tends to be the big month because people get in motion with their New Year's resolutions and are ready to get going. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Main.
I just pulled up some information that Kevin Roberts had sent. There's 190 people at the T. Graham Brown concert. So, and one other thing, Smith Terrace grand opening is tomorrow in Newtown, 3 to 5 o'clock. So,
I have those Thursdays, no?
I'm sorry, Thursday.
Okay.
That's right, Thursday, yeah. So,
Said 3 to 5.
that's right.
Mr. Purtle, do you have anything this evening? Any other department heads wish to address the board? You know, we'll move on to announcements. Does any member of the board have any announcements this evening? Mr. Main, do you have anything?
No.
Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.